Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, or Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, is basically like pulling teeth and just not a good film. Birds of Prey stars Margot Robbie, Ewan McGregor, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ali Wong in a small cameo role, along with Chris Massina and a couple other ones that pop up in the film. It is, like I said, it's like pulling teeth the whole way through. It was one of those films that I really, really wanted to be good because Harley Quinn was probably the only watchable thing in Suicide Squad, but unfortunately, it just wasn't a good film, partially because it's trying to be this real meta approach to filmmaking, much like the Deadpool series. But the Deadpool series worked because Ryan Reynolds is very funny. Margot Robbie's not really a funny character. She's a pretty good actress. She's very beautiful, very gorgeous to look at. But they tried to make her like a comical character in this movie while also having this unreliable narrator that kind of tells you a little bit about what's going on and bounces around the truth, so you don't ever really know what she's saying. But it just doesn't work. It's not a very good film from start to finish. The script needed a lot of work. It even actually made Margot Robbie's performance as Harley Quinn seem to be something that you're just annoyed with by the end of the film, along with Ewan McGregor's really like flamboyantly, like all over the place portrayal of Roman Sionis or Black Mask, and the Victor Zsasz character, who's supposed to be this cold-hearted assassin who's basically his closeted lover, and he's not really a good assassin, as once he finally goes up against Harley Quinn and her allotment of the Birds of Prey, he really fails pretty quickly at it and doesn't actually even instill any kind of fear or anything in them. Like I said, the film tries this very meta approach where you have Harley narrating pretty much the entire way of the film and does kind of a Guy Ritchie start here, tell one side of the story, then cut back and tell something else in the story, and it doesn't work in this film. It's one of those ones that it seems like it had too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, and they could never really narrow down or hammer down an authentic or an original story for the film, and they just went with what they had. So the film basically starts off, the Joker broke up with Harley, which she tells you multiple times. She talks about how she was in an abusive relationship, but there's not really anything that expands upon that. They don't really go through any of the struggles that she would have with this kind of relationship. Just, oh, she broke up with Mr. J, and now she no longer has protection. So after a drunken night, Harley decides to drive a gasoline truck into the chemical factory where she pledged herself to Mr. J, blows it up, which signifies to the city, along with her tossing out her Joker necklace, that she is no longer with the Joker, and therefore basically fair game for the police and other denizens of Gothams to go after. And this is really when the story kind of just gets really hectic after this point, because there's also several subplots with Huntress's character, who's going around killing some mob folks. And like what happens is there's also Black Canary, who's played by Jesse Smollett's sister, and she's actually pretty good in the film. She's one of the ones that actually has an arc while the rest of them don't. She starts off as just a nightclub singer. She saves Harley from a drunken potential abduction. She beats up some people. Roman Sionis sees this and promotes her from nightclub singer to bodyguard driver to replace the one that Harley Quinn had already broke his legs a few minutes earlier in the film. And from there, she gets a little bit of development because you can see she doesn't really want to be part of a life of crime. She has some metahuman abilities that they kind of make reference to but don't really show at the beginning of the film. She's approached by Rosie Perez's character, who is Detective Montoya, who you get a little bit of backstory on her, and basically she's been screwed over by her partner several times, taking all the glory of some past case she solved, and basically led her to just be this drunken detective, while her partner got all the glory, got promoted to captain, so on and so forth. Well, she goes off and she's inspecting all these crimes, these hitmen, or these mob hit crimes, and then she discovers that Harley Quinn's broke up with the Joker, so now she's trying to go out and catch Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn has this strange fixation on an egg sandwich. A couple little jokes thrown in about it before she finally loses it. And then what ends up happening is there's like this little pickpocket that the Black Canary character has had some interactions with earlier on in the film. She steals a diamond because Black Canary and Victor Zsasz was sent to pick up this diamond. This is the big MacGuffin for the film. It's this diamond that's got laser encoded on it the bank accounts of the Huntress's mob family, all their fortune. So the pickpocket steals the diamond, gets caught by the cops. While in the police car, she eats the diamond and then gets taken off to jail, where Black Canary, who's also basically a snitch for Rosie Perez's character, Detective Montoya, I think that's her name, not for sure, and she calls her and says the girl's got the diamond. Harley Quinn also knows that the girl's got the diamond because she was sent there by Roman as a way to save her own skin to go get the girl and get the diamond. So Harley goes into the police station with this rocket launcher filled with glitter bombs, basically shoots her way through the police station. Not really any kind of stakes here, any fear of anybody getting hurt. None of the cops seem to be competent enough to pull out a gun, stun gun, or anything like that to defend themselves. There's even a couple scenes where they see Harley and they just take off running. Harley then she rescues the little girl. She then goes into the evidence locker where some real bad guys show up with guns, finally start shooting at her. She inhales a little bit of cocaine, picks up a mallet, a bat, and just starts beating up some dudes. They end up escaping from there, and from there they progress to where what you think is going to be the only redeemable character that's a guy in this film is this Asian man who runs a little Chinese restaurant that Harvey lives above with her little pet hyena. But he basically, after not giving the Huntress any information on Harley, you don't see it. There's a scene missing here, obviously, where she then sells out Harley to a couple guys. And while Harley's waiting upstairs with the little girl, waiting for her to go take a poo, so she can get the diamond out of her, and Harley can take the diamond over because she doesn't really want to have to cut her up. Some guys blow up Harley's apartment. They're able to get away, no scratches, nothing like that. Even later, you find out that the hyena escaped as well, and Harley sees a little Asian man, and he says, sorry, it was a lot of money. I can finally open myself a new restaurant. It's like, okay, that's kind of not needed, but still, again, he's not redeemable at all, along with any of the male characters in this film. And again, I really wanted this film to be good, but it just is not good. It's very hectic, bouncing all over the place, and constantly, every now and then, you'll have these points where new characters introduced. Huntress, Montoya's character, the Black Canary, and what happens is Harley comes in, does a little voiceover narration, then jumps back however long to tell a story, a couple 5-10 minute interludes here and there, and it really is a little bit confusing and kind of takes off any pacing or any kind of urgency in the script, while they have this ridiculous diamond MacGuffin chase off the whole thing. So finally what happens is, they got the girl, and they end up having the Birds of Prey meetup where Black Canary, Huntress, and Detective Montoya, they end up at the fun house where Roman is supposed to come meet Harley and collect the diamond. And they get there, and of course there's no guns there, so they open up Harley's little container, and it's got some old stuff from Suicide Squad, like a mallet, a baseball bat, a couple of really crappy guns, a shotgun, things like that. And then they have this all-out war battle in this funhouse with a whole bunch of mercenaries that Roman Sironis has. And again, this is where some really cheesy action scenes throughout the film, specifically this end, because what they do is they'll cut to like a really slow-mo section, and then a lot of cuts where the camera positions to different sides to kind of take away from the fact that there's not very good choreography and none of the main actresses really know how to fight, not even like stage fighting. So what they do is they'll have multiple cuts where you start off here, the punch is being thrown, and they'll cut to over here where you just see the reaction shot of the guy falling away from the punch more so than the actual connecting of the punch. And it kind of takes you out of it because it's not a very good scene. It's not very well choreographed. None of these action scenes are very good. But this last action scene, there's like 100 guys that show up, all wearing masks, and then Harley and the Birds of Prey beat them all up, without really any lethal weapons. Victor Zsasz' character, he comes in through the window, gets stabbed a bunch of times by everybody, and there's a couple cute little jokey moments where Harley's been tranquilized, and then she can just barely move, and she's stabbing him, so it's kind of cute. But Outside of that, that's really kind of the only humorous thing that I found in the film. Certainly the only thing that made sense in terms of the pacing, plot, or anything like that. There's no urgency. It's very colorful, so you can say it's a very colorful film, but there's not any consistent tone that they carry throughout the film, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of a lot of the character interactions and their motivations, because there really isn't any outside of, Black Canary wanting to become more than just a nightclub singer, and Huntress wanting to actually kill the people that killed their family. So after this final little battle, they're like walking out all together, and then the last couple of men is shooting at them, and finally they get somebody that actually gets shot. It's Rosie Perez's character, Montoya. She gets shot in the chest, but of course she's wearing a bulletproof bustier, and it doesn't do any harm to her. The little girl gets kidnapped, Cassandra Cain, a little pickpocket. She gets kidnapped by Roman, who takes off running. Basically, Ewan McGregor's character is just a little bitch in this film. He doesn't really have any redeeming quality at all. He just runs his mouth the whole time. He's kind of a wuss and can't really fight or do anything else. So Harley then takes after them on roller skates, being pulled behind Huntress on a motorcycle for a little while. She gets in a car, another crappy little fight scene, and then finally she chases Ewan McGregor, Black Mask, Roman Sars, whatever his name is, his Sionis' character, onto like an old broken down pier where Harley's has like one shot left, and she shoots and misses, but the little girl is able to stick a grenade on Black Mask, runs off as Black Mask is kicked by Harley over the side of the pier, and then blows up. And then you get a little bit more voiceover narration talking about how Detective Montoya finally quit because she got passed over again for promotion because her ex-partner took credit for Roman Sionis' crime syndicate for being broken down. So she quits, basically flips him the bird. And then she joins up with Black Canary and Huntress, who Black Canary's in the one scene when they were shooting at him and Roman was getting away with the little girl, she used her supersonic voice and was able to knock him back there. So showing finally a metahuman or someone with actual superpowers in this comic book film. But you have like a little brief epilogue where Harley talks about how they formed a crime-fighting team, the Birds of Prey, and they're going around stopping the bad guys in Gotham, while Harley took the little pickpocket on as her apprentice, basically, and then they ride off into the sunset with their egg salad sandwiches. It is an abysmal film. Again, it was one of those ones I really hoped was good because Harley Quinn's character was the only thing good in Suicide Squad, but in this, it was just painful to watch from beginning to end. The characters were just trying to be too Deadpool-ish, but it didn't really work because he didn't have the humor of Ryan Reynolds nor the tight script that was in the first Deadpool film, and the humor just seemed really forced along with a lot of the really cheesy action scenes. And it's kind of funny that they ended up apparently had to bring in the director from John Wick to do these action scenes, and even then you can tell it's a little bit John Wick-ish with some of the slow-mo and stuff like that, but it still just doesn't work in this case for this film. I would not recommend this film. It's not very good. It's more painful than Suicide Squad, and it is like pulling teeth. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend it. Other than that, thank you. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share, and have a good day.